I need to show you the arch trellises in the heart of serendipity. So this is arch rose clare. It is a tunnel made out of climbing roses and grapevines. So I'm going to start off at the very end. Here I have my flame seedless grapevines. I pruned them with you guys recently, and they've started leafing out. Look at those, they're so beautiful. Same thing over here, look how pretty that is. Which makes me so excited for the grape harvest this year. And then on this side, I have another flame seedless that's also beginning to leaf out. And then right there, you can start to see where the grapevine was bleeding or crying, which means that I pruned it when the sap was already starting to flow. So that makes the grapevine look like it's crying. And for a while there was like a little puddle, and it goes on for like a few days, but then it eventually slows down and then stops. And the grapevine will be fine. If you look closely, there is a little bud starting to swell, and in no time it's going to start leafing out. Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. And there's already some leaves right here. So I'm very excited to see what the harvest looks like this year. The trellis looks bare now, but just give it like 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be so much more lush. I'm hoping that in the next 2 weeks or so, the trellis starts to fill out and there's a lot more green, because this year I'm hosting the Easter egg hunt here in Serendipity for my babies and my nieces and nephews, and I'm so excited because I love serendipity, my kids love serendipity, and I feel like this would be the perfect setting for any Easter egg hunt because there's just so many places to hide the eggs, and I hope this sparks a little bit of that love for gardening in all of the kids. All of the trellises are connected with this clothesline wire. Eventually I might switch it up for some wire cable because I also want to attach some to different areas of serendipity to put up more string lights. But in the meantime, I'm just using some clothesline. The one thing I don't like about the clothesline is that it can become a little bit more loose. I like it to stay nice and taut, and I feel like braided wire would give me that effect. But in the meantime, this has worked. I've had it up since last year, and it made it so that all of the vines could create a closed tunnel effect versus having 3 separate trellises, because that looks really pretty too. But then we had a lot of vines falling in between the spaces, and I didn't like that look because it looked very messy at times. And having that clothesline there acted like a bridge so that all the vines could fill out nicely. And this middle trellis is 2 Don Juan climbing roses that I recently pruned. And look at how much fuller they look already. I love the effect that I'm getting right now, but I definitely messed up in pruning off a ton of the lateral canes. And I regret that so much because I didn't realize it until after. And I wish I had just looked it up before I came outside to start working, but I didn't even think about it until after. And once I did, I was like, no, I pruned off all of the canes that can give me blooms. So I'm definitely going to sacrifice a ton of them this year. But I think it's okay because I'm pretty sure we're still going to get a lot more. And now I know what not to do for next time. And I feel like those are some of the most important lessons that you can learn in the garden is what not to do, because there's going to be mistakes no matter what. And I feel like if I'm so hard on myself about messing up pruning a plant, it's going to make me a lot more intimidated to prune it next year because I'm going to be like, oh my God, what if I mess up again? What if I make more mistakes? But my mentality now is if I make a mistake pruning, it's okay. As long as the plant is still alive next year, I can try and fix that mistake. And for the most part, I've made a gazillion mistakes in the garden and it still looks pretty. Here are my thoughts when it comes to pruning. When I first started gardening, I felt like I couldn't make mistakes, especially if I was creating content, because how are people going to trust me if I mess up and I show them that I mess up? They're going to be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But the truth is that I don't always know what I'm talking about. I'm still learning. I'm still a beginner gardener. I'm still in the journey of learning how to grow my own food and learning all I can about plants, but making mistakes is part of that journey. It's a very important part of that journey because you can't not make a mistake forever, especially when you're learning something new. And I think making mistakes is what sometimes makes us feel discouraged about continuing because you mess up once and you think, well, I'm just horrible at this. This is just not my thing. But the truth is that the gardeners that do wind up being the most successful, that have the most luscious, huge gardens, are the ones that have made so many mistakes, but the difference is that they didn't let those mistakes define them as a gardener. They learned from them, and then the next year they just fixed it, or the next season they just fixed it. And that's something that's really helped me out here in the garden. But anyways, I was watching a video on YouTube about this I was watching this video on YouTube in Spanish where this gentleman was showing how to prune grapevines, and he made a comment saying that the first grapevines were pruned by a goat. Was it a goat or a donkey? The first grapevines were pruned by a donkey. That a grapevine was growing in a village and a donkey came over and started eating it, and the villagers started freaking out and they were like, no, I killed the grapevine. But then once the grapevine woke up again, it started growing like crazy and it gave them the most amount of fruit they had ever gotten from these grapevines. And then that's how they started pruning it themselves, because they got it from the donkey that did it in the first place when it started chewing up the plant. When I heard that, I started chuckling and I was like, you know what? That's true. Sometimes when I'm pruning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't make a mistake. I need to make sure that everything is done exactly the way that I've seen other people do it. But I'm going to make a mistake here and there because I'm human. And the important thing is that I don't let that get me down. And the next year I just learn from it. So yeah. But here's what the so anyways, here's what the roses look like. I think they're looking gorgeous right now, despite having a bunch of their lateral canes pruned off. Look, all of the red leaves that you see are new shoots, and all of them are basically lateral canes. So we're gonna get a ton of blooms coming off everywhere. If I hadn't pruned off the other lateral canes, we would have had a lot more right here. You can still see some new ones beginning to pop up, so no matter what, we're gonna get blooms. I may have sacrificed some of them due to my pruning, but that doesn't mean I won't get any. It just means I'm gonna get a little bit less. But the next year, I won't make the same mistake. And next year, I'm going to get a ton more. I can already feel it. Oh, and I also want to show you how many canes are on each climbing rose. So this one right now has 3. I bought both of my Don Juan climbing roses from Lowe's a few years ago, and I planted them in memory of my mom. And it has taken them a really long time to really take off. So you can see some of the older canes, and they began growing to a nice thickness. Well, look at these new canes that it started pushing out recently. These are huge. And look at the size of those thorns. Oh my gosh. A little bit scary, but beautiful nonetheless. And then on this side, I only have 2 canes right now. But they're a really good sized cane. There's that one, and there's this one that branches off. And then recently, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw another one beginning to poke out. Yep. So it's gonna bounce back in no time. And then you won't even remember all of the mistakes that I made this last time I pruned it. But look, oh, how nice. The last arch trellis also has grapevines, but these are called Thompson's green grapes. And these haven't started leafing out yet, but they usually take a little bit longer to wake up than my flame seedless. And I can tell they're starting to wake up because they begin to get a little bit fuzzy, and in no time, little leaves start to pop out. I don't see any right now, but I know they're coming soon. I also messed up on the pruning of these grapevines. It wasn't like a huge mistake, it's just that I didn't leave a renewal bud. So the canes that I did leave are a little bit thicker than I would like them to be, because usually I like for them to be slightly bigger than a pencil. They are still from last year's growth, but I feel like I feel like I would have had a better selection of canes had I left a renewal bud. So I'm going to make sure to do that this year. But overall, they're looking marvelous. And I had the same thing happening over here. I accidentally did leave a renewal bud without meaning to. So this is the type of cane that I want to keep. Look at the size of that. It's closer to the size of a pencil, still slightly larger, but I feel like this is the perfect size. So I'm hoping we get a ton of fruit from this one. And this one's way more mature. You can tell by the peeling bark. It's still growth from last year, but it's some of the older growth. So I don't like keeping vines that are this big, but I wanted to keep 2 for this vine, and those were the only good 2 that I could think to keep. So hopefully we get something good this year. Okay, now let's head over to Fig Alley. And this is the very end of our garden tour.